Good morning, everyone. Today in this session, we are going to discuss very important topic, and that is regular expressions, right? So regular expressions are most probably important in all the programming languages. Okay, so some of the rules and some of the notations you have to remember for regular expressions and that is most probably common across all the programming languages. The way of defining is different, obviously, according to the syntax, right? But the concepts are going to same in all the programming languages. So please try to understand this. At very first look, it looks like very complex, right? But once you handy with that, it's a very powerful tool, right? So regular expressions, commonly known as a regex or regexp, are specially formatted text strings used to find patterns in the text, right? So what is the meaning of patterns? Like suppose if I'm taking a username, so in the username, I only want to include alphabetical characters. I don't want any other special characters or digits, right? So for that, I can define one specific pattern and I can compare it with the particular input, right? So that is known as the pattern in the text. Now, regular expressions are one of the most powerful tools available today for effective and efficient text processing and manipulations, right? So suppose, say, for example, it can be used to verify whether the format of the data, that is like name, email, phone number, etc., entered by the user is correct or not. It also finds or replaces matching string within a text contents and so on. So you can see various text processing and manipulations you can perform in an effective manner with the use of regular expressions. Here are some functions, predefined functions we have for regular expressions, right? So you can use it for your purpose. Now, the first function is execute function. It searches for a match in a string and it returns an array of information. If it does not find any, then it returns the null. Taste method, right? So taste method is used to taste whether a string matches a pattern or not, right? So suppose I have two string and I want to find whether that two strings are matching with each other or not, with the pattern or not, right? So one is pattern, one is the string. String one is my pattern, string two is my actual string. So I want to match whether my string two is matched with the string one pattern or not. So in that case, you can go for taste. You can also give a pattern to the string one name, right? Similarly, we have a search, replace, match, and split functions, right? So here you can see the use of each and every, right? We'll see an example. Now, how you can define the regular expression. This is most important thing, right? So in a JavaScript, especially right now we are covering the JavaScript. So we talk in context with the JavaScript. So regular expressions are represented by regexp object, which is a native JavaScript object like a string, array, and so on, right? And the second way is a literal way, right? So literal syntax or a constructor way, that two ways we have for the particular regular expressions, right? So here you can see the literal syntax. If you go for a literal syntax, then it uses a forward slashes, right? So right now directly you can write slash, then here you can define the pattern and you can close that to wrap up the regular expression patterns. Whereas in a constructor, you have to use these bracket notations with the double inverted comma, right? So these are the two ways you can define the regular expressions in a JavaScript. Now let's go for one example. Suppose say here I want to define one pattern in a literal syntax, right? So I'm going to define one variable, and here as we are going for a literal syntax, you have to just put a forward slash, right? Then you have to define your pattern over here, right? So this is a pattern, right? right now you are not getting anything, I can understand, right? But later on, after this video, you will get what is the meaning of this, right? Now, constructor syntax. Suppose if I want to go for a constructor syntax, then I can define one variable and I have to use a new keyword, right? So we are going to create an object anyway. So regexp constructor, and into bracket you have to provide in double inverted comma your particular pattern, right? So these are the two ways you can define the regular expressions in JavaScript, right? Now, how the pattern matching will work, right? So there are some special characters have some special meanings in a regular expressions. Like suppose, say for example, here are the list of characters which are going to be used to define the particular pattern, right? So regular expression patterns include the use of letter, digits, and the punctuation marks. Okay, how to define? We'll see. Now, suppose, for example, some of the character classes we have, right? So now, as I told you in earlier one example that if you want to only contain the characters in a username, right? So you can write this particular pattern like A, B, C. So what is the meaning of what does matches any one of the character? Either it is A, either it is B, or either it is a C, right? So if your string contains any of these character, then matches will found. Suppose if you put a caret symbol here as a prefix, that it matches any one character other than ABC, right? A to Z means small letters A to Z, capital letters A to Z, small to capital letters both combined, lower and uppercase, 0 to 9, that is digits, and this represents the combination of the characters and the numbers, right? So these are the special meanings for these particular classes, character classes. Now, apart from this, there are some another notations we have. Like suppose if I'm going to use this particular dot symbol, then it matches any single character except a new line, right? Suppose I'm using this backward slash D, then it matches a digits characters. It is same as 09, whatever we have seen earlier. Capital D, it matches any non-digit characters, right? Small s, it matches any white space characters. Capital S, it matches any non-white space characters. W, it matches any word characters. So word can contain as small, capital, numbers, and underscore. And capital W, it matches a non-word character. It is very similar as like this pattern. Okay, so these are the notations you can remember. Now, suppose in some strings you require repetitions, right? So here for that you have to use these particular symbols, right? Plus, star, question mark, curly brackets. In a curly brackets you can provide, right? So here you can see, suppose if I go for a P plus, right? So it matches one or more occurrence of the letter P in a string. P star means it matches zero or more occurrence of letter P, right? So similarly, you can understand how many times the occurrence you want to find in the particular string, so that you can define like this. Next is these are the spatial characters. It matches the letter P at the beginning of a line. So suppose if I write caret P, then at the beginning of line it matches the P, right? So in our earlier example, we have seen that caret Mr., right? So at the beginning of a name, it finds that chaluations, right? P dollar means it end of the line. So dollar is the end of the line, and caret you can understand as the beginning of the line in simple words, right? That is the position anchors. Okay. Then here another important pattern modifiers we have. So whenever I write a G in my pattern, then it performs the global match. Means it performs how many times the particular letter occurs in a string, right? So it find all the occurrence. I means either you want to match it with the case sensitive or insensitive manner, then you have to provide the I. M O SX, right? So here are some another notations you can understand. So according to your requirement, you can choose any of these pattern modifiers, right? So let's go for simple examples. So you will get the idea how this particular thing works. So here you can understand that this is my HTML document, and here I have one string that is Mr. John, right? So we are going to see both the ways. One is for literal syntax, and another one is for the constructor syntax, right? So now here you can see that we are going to store this particular pattern in this regex1 variable, right? So this is my pattern. So I want to find Mr. and then dot at the beginning of the line. So I need to write caret Mr. Whenever you want to use any this kind of punctuation marks, then you have to put a backward slash, right? So backward slash dot. So it represents it represents Mr. dot, right? So it is the meaning of it. So at the very beginning of the line, I want to find in my string whether it contains a Mr. dot or not. So this is my regular expression for that, right? Now I want to match. How can I match that? So with the use of test method, right? So what is the job of test method? So test whether a string matches a pattern and it returns a true or false, right? So here I can match with like this regex1 variable dot test, right? If it matches, then match is found. Otherwise, it returns match is not found. Similarly, let's go for the constructor way. So in this particular, we are going to use a new keyword, and we are going to use this constructor, and in double inverted comma we are going to write this, right? So whenever you are going to constructor way, so you have to put slash and then slash, double slash you have to put. So remember this difference between literal way and the constructor way. That is very important, right? So sometimes you write the correct syntax, but you will find that you are not going the expected output. You are not going to get, right? So these are the small mistakes developer can make. So now here we are comparing with the same test method. If the match is found, then it will return match is found. Otherwise, it return match is not found, right? So let's execute this code. So you will get the idea. Yes, in both the cases, match is found, right? Suppose if I'm not going to enter, suppose if I'm going to make a Mrs. Johnny, right? So here, suppose I can put a Mrs., right? So again, if I execute, then match is not found. What happens over here? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so here I just forgot to remove this one, right? So in my pattern, there is a Mr., right? So I initially I'm comparing this with the string, right? So it just match is not found, right? So this is the particular, you can say, use of regular expressions to find the particular make patterns, right? So let me execute this once again. So you will just get the idea. So match is found and match is found, right? So this is the regular expressions, how you can define it, right? That's it, guys.